So now we have a navigation concept that I'll call links, even though the idea of a link is broader than the way that I'm going to use it here. Obviously, everything on the web is links. Any way that you move or are served, one page or another, happens through engaging a link. However, there's a thing that we identify as a link that's that's very prominent on the web that I want to call out as something that's in the user's consciousness. And those links are usually in context, text-based, sometimes image-based. They could be an icon that you click on or something like that, but really the paradigmatic case is a text link that's formatted in a way that we expect, that we've learned, that we've been taught means link. And by the way, just as a very short aside, I've been doing stuff on the web since the web was invented, and I've watched the progression of learning that's happened, and the progression of things that at first were completely oblique to the people who use them and now are just second nature. And links are the first and foremost of those things. Why is it that something that's blue and underlined indicates click on me because I'll take you somewhere else? Think back if you were there, or imagine back if you weren't there, to the time when it just looked like something that was blue and underlined. And blue and underlined just meant blue and underlined. Maybe it's a, maybe it's an emphasis thing, or maybe it's something that is supposed to be a glossary term or something like that. We really had no idea what that meant, and people had to be taught. Now, of course, it's second nature. But once again, we have the idea that these widgets, these navigational widgets, are all conventional and only do what they do because we've learned that that's what they do. There's nothing inherent about them. Along a similar line, when images were first on the web, what told you that an image could be clicked or couldn't be clicked? It really isn't an issue anymore. We look at the context of the image, if it seems like it could be clicked or moused over, although even in this course, many people miss the mouse overs as a function of an image that carries information, that carries some significance. So all of those things have to be taught, and hopefully by now in this course you realize that there's lots of mouse overs that give you significant information, but those things had to be taught. And so in the beginning, what we would do with images that were clickable, because no one would think that there's an image and so you should be able to click it, it's active. Images were for all time passive things. You just looked at them, they didn't do anything. And so what did we do with images in order to make people understand that they were actionable, that they had some effect? We put them on buttons, and every image that was clickable had to be on a three-dimensional button-like background. Otherwise, people wouldn't know that they could do anything with it. So once again, we have this idea that navigational widgets are mechanical devices that had to be taught, and their function isn't always intuitively obvious. And that's the bane of everyone who does usability testing, that they think that it's obvious how this widget should work, but in fact, to the people who use it, it's not obvious at all. So back to the idea of links. Links, we believe, or we intuit, have these qualities. The thing that is the link gives us some indication of what the linked to thing is. So when I mouse over a word called sonorant, I expect that when I click it, it takes me to something about sonorants. Furthermore, and this is a little bit more of a modern expectation, but it's getting to be a big expectation, and one that sometimes it's very hard for the architect to fulfill. The expectation is when I do click that thing, I'll go directly to the area that bears on the thing I clicked on. So for example, we may have a page that's 10 scrolls long and the information about sonorants is down in scroll number 5. I take you to the top of the page, and the title of the page is something like, sounds. And you didn't even know what a sonorant was. That's why you clicked on it in the first place. You go to a page that says sounds, and you have to scroll down five times in order to get to something that has anything to do with sonorants. And so the expectation now is that we'll take you directly to the place. So you don't go to the top of that page when you click on it. You go to the paragraph or the section of the page that deals specifically with the thing you clicked on. So that's our first couple of expectations, that the label of the link has something to do with the destination of the link, and that when we go to that destination, it's going to be relatively easy for us to figure out how to get to the information that we wanted to access on that page. The other thing we expect is that they're in context, that the link is in a place that makes sense. And this is something that oftentimes page designers ignore or misjudge to the detriment of their users, that it's not everything that should be linked, and the link should not be arbitrary with respect to placement on the page. We've come to expect that a link is in the place where it belongs. So when a word is mentioned in context, this is the paradigmatic case again, when a word is mentioned in context in a paragraph and that word either has more information further on or may not be understood by the users, our expectation is that that's the kind of thing that will be linked. Not everything in every possible association or every possible reference, but only the ones that are significant, that the user might not understand, that have more information, and that those links be in the place where they belong. So you have a dichotomy between having links, as you see on the illustration here, links that are on the side of the page, that are outside, that are somewhat out of context with the content that they are bearing on, and links that are embedded, links that are inside. Either way, they're perceived as a set of links, and in some cases those links are outside, and that makes them irrelevant. We don't understand why you would have a link to Sonorant on this page outside of the context of its use, because it was used in paragraph number 5 and only there. And so we have the dichotomy of links between having the link be external to its immediate context and having the link be inside its immediate context. And to some extent we expect that it's going to be close enough that we can understand why that link is there. So that's links. They're a very important part of the web, and there's much more to be said about them that we'll say when we get to access, or access structures from an architect standpoint.